Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome back to another exciting series of events. For those of you who joined us in previous events, thank you for your great interest in this community. And for the first timers, I'm Alejandro Ferrero, the DSC lead at Politecnico di Milano. And it's fantastic to have you here with us today. So this time around, we'll be focusing on mobile app design and implementation. So we've split the series into two events, and this is the first event. So we'll be covering concepts about UI UX and design tools. And on the second event, we'll be working on app development using Flutter, which is an amazing framework developed by Google, and it is quickly becoming sort of the standard for cross-platform development. But moving on, we're super thrilled to be hosting this series in collaboration with Tutored. They are a local startup, and they are now our first official partner. So Marta and Andrea work at Tutored, and they are today's presenters. So they will be telling you more about Tutored and the event itself in just a minute. But before we go into the actual event, I just wanted to thank all of you who have joined us today. I think we're close to 150, and the number keeps going up as a few more students join in. So amazing engagement from everyone. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to remind everyone that we are organizing a little contest for all the PoliMi students who may want to participate, and we'll share all the information at the end of today's session. So I highly recommend everyone to join our Telegram group to stay up to date on any announcements, and in case you have future questions or want to know more about the project, our DSC community. I believe we're dropping the link on the chat, so feel free to check it out. And with all that being said, I hope that everyone has a great time today. So I'm going to hand it over to Marta and Andrea. So I believe there they are, all good. So you can mute yourselves, and I'll stop sharing my my screen now. Just 1 second. There we go. Stop sharing. All good. So
okay,
you're up.
Thank you. Can you see my screen? Okay. Can you give me a feedback if you see my screen, please? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Alejandro, for the presentation. I introduce myself. I'm Marta, and I'm a graphic designer in Tutored. I'm here today with my colleague Andrea to tell you some fundamentals of UX and UI design. First of all, what is Tutored? Tutored is a 6-year-old startup. It's a digital meeting point between companies and students or recent graduates. In Tutored, there is a community of 500,000 young talents who want to start their professional careers. We recently worked on our new app that we launched in September. 18 of September. We worked on optimizing the old version of the app, and we thought about some new features like the digital CV. Then we designed the user experience and the new user interface. Finally, our tech team realized it in Flutter. Okay. Today, what will we talk about? In this webinar, me and my colleague Andrea, that's a UX and visual designer, will tell you something about the design part. That's the UI design subset. But you're not designers, you're developers, right? Why a developer should know what UI design is? Because during the creation of a digital product, like a website or an app, designers and developers work closely together. They are part of the same working context. First of all, we have to figure out what UX and UI design mean. UX stands for user experience. It means the experience lived by a person, the user, when he relates and interacts with one or more products or services, digital products and digital services. Instead, UI stands for user interface. It's a subset of the UX word, and it's the visual part of the UX design. It indicates all the visual elements that the user uses to interact with a device. Okay, let's imagine starting a project. A client gives us a brief with the specification for the creation of an app. What's the first step? Okay, the first thing to do could be a benchmark analysis. What's that? It's a form to research who wish to identify the competitors' strengths and weaknesses. Here are some examples of analysis of parking apps. Then we have to identify our target. To do that, we can create imaginary characters that we call personas, who are like a hypothetical real user. For example, here we have Giada, a single girl with 28 years old, and Andrea, a married man with, and it's a worker. And these, for example, are an example of personas. We give an identity to, in this way, we give an identity to our user. That's a name, an age, what he or she does in life. We define his or her needs, and this is important to us to understand how we can find a solution to our target's problems with our digital product. That's our app or our website. Once we have a clear idea of who is our target, we can define the customer journey. That's the path of the actions and mood of our persona in a specific moment. Okay, next step, the user flow. What features will our app have? Our product can be, for example, a recipe app or a navigation app like Google Maps or Waze. All of these apps have specific features, and in this phase, that's the creation of the user flow. We have to define all the connection between the various steps. From the splash screen, for example, that's the screen with our logo, our brand identity, to the login flow, for example. From there, we get to the home page, and then we can have several options depending on the app. Once we have defined the flow, we can create the visual part. The first step is the creation of wireframes. What the wireframes are? For me, it's important to tell you that wireframes The visual part, the first step of the creation of the visual part are wireframes. It's important to tell you that all these design steps are fundamental for the success of the project, like benchmark analysis, the creation of personas, and the customer journey. Wireframe is the first visual step of these project path. We must have a solid project's foundation. Wireframes are drafts of the app screens. Here in this slide, we are some example of wireframes of a parking app. Okay. At this stage, it's not yet important to define the style and colors or fonts, but we focus on functionality. Only once we have built this solid structure, we can move on to the graphic part. We define a mood board. This is an example of a mood board, which is the look and feel we want to give to our app, like the graphic flavor of the app. Gradually, we go into more and more detail. We define a style tile. Here, this is an example of a style tile. So we have primary colors like green, blue, and like night blue. The font with the size of the fonts. Some illustration that represents the look and feel of the app of our future product. Here we have another example of a style tile with typography, buttons, colors, and the icon set. That's very important in this phase of the project to define all these elements. The design system, it's like a style tile, but more detailed. We have, for example, cards with a specific grid, the buttons, the icons, and also an example of a background with the text, the white text, the forms, etc. Now, it's important, the atomic elements of UI are, for example, colors. It's important to decide a color palette. Usually, we define a primary color palette for the most important elements, like primary buttons, call to action, the most important icons, etc. Moreover, we define neutral colors that it's very important, like blacks and grays for the background. For example, if our app could be light version and dark version, for example, and blacks, grays, and whites are an important palette to define in this step of the project. Status color are important too. They allow us to give a feedback to the user, and this is an essential part of the user experience. For example, green in cases where we have successfully taken an action, or red when an action fails. Fonts are another basic element to define in UI design. we have to choose one or more family fonts. The larger the font family is, the more we can define a good text hierarchy. For example, bolds for the title, semi-bold for the subtitles, regular for the body texts. Another important thing is the grid and the spacing. A defined grid and the right white space between the elements allow us to allocate our elements well in the page and to have a harmonious result. The shadows are basic elements that it's important to our UI design. And in Figma, we can design several types of shadows. We can give a size of the blur and the color, an opacity, etc. The icon set, it's important too, to define...
Sorry, Marta. I was reading the chat. You can zoom in your slide, please.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Just you can. Yeah. Okay. Right.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, icon set like the full icon with full color, or empty icons like only the stroke. Okay, for example, colors, fonts, shadows, icons are all atomic elements of UI design. Instead, buttons, alerts, forms are the molecules are a set of basic elements, which are colors. For example, a button is composed by the text, the primary color or secondary color, and by the look and feel of the app that we defined in the first part of the project. Okay, now I turn it over to Andrea, who will show you how to design in Figma.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Thank you for this beautiful presentation. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea, and I worked on the design of the app, of the Tutored app. So I will share my screen. Okay. You will see. You're...
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So the things we are going to look at together now is the flow and the technical design of our wireframe. Before to start, I want to introduce you a little bit Figma. Figma is the first professional grade online tool created especially for interface design, but not only for this. For example, now I use only Figma for other stuff like arts, illustration, etc. This Figma is fantastic, but because it is built entirely in the browser, enabling the entire team's design process to happen in one online tool. And this is very, very fantastic and innovative things. So, imagine that that Figma is a Google Doc. for interface designers. You create an account, you create a team, a project, and start working with your colleagues. And the fantastic, another fantastic thing, you can do it at the same time, as you can see on the sites of Figma. So Figma is free, up to editors, I guess, and it's cloud-based, so it works on Mac, Linux, Windows, very good. Okay. The last advantages of Figma is the auto-save. For designers, it's fantastic because you have no longer to click Command S to save documents, but Figma auto-saves the file continuously, and it's very, very great for us. Okay. As I can show, you can download Figma, or you can just use in the browser. For download, you have just to click here, and you can download the desktop app, the app for your telephone, Figma Mirror, so you can see the results of your interface in real time on your phone, and the font installer for install fonts. Okay. As a first step, I suggest you also download the font installer. It allows Figma to install the font, so it's important. Okay. Now we are going to, let's go to Figma. I will show you on the browser, but it works better on the app. But also in the browser, it's very good Figma. Don't worry if you don't want to download the app. This is the main menu of Figma. We have our account, so name, password, email, some stuff like this. The search bar, this is very important because if you have a lot of projects like me, you can search and find your project very quickly. Recent, so simply the latest project you have edited.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think your screen is just vertical, and we are just seeing like a small part of it instead of like the whole width.
Okay.
If I don't know if that's because you're just sharing the screen, or maybe if you reshare it, if you stop sharing it, and
now you can see the better. You can see now.
We can see the same thing. It's just that the part that we can see is vertical. If
okay, I will try to stop sharing. Reshare.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Sorry.
If you expand the whole window and make it its own screen.
Yes. Okay.
By the way, if anyone has any questions or wants to share any thoughts, feel free to do that on the chat or on the Q&A section that we have here on Bevy. And by the way, Andrea, that looks much better now. It's full screen, so perfect. I'll let you continue the presentation.
You can see my screen?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, you can see the Figma template? Okay. So this is the main menu, okay. And sorry, okay. There is a draft, simply the draft, and create new team. Create new team, it's to create the team, you can create projects also by yourself and work alone as well. So for create a new project, you have just to click a plus here, this. And we have our project. Okay, the first things you have to do is rename the project. You have just to click right click on your keyboard and rename. We can name Learn Figma. Okay. Okay. If you have never seen a program like Photoshop or Illustrator or something, I wanted to introduce these panels very quickly. We have our layers. Layers are everything we create on our project. For example, if I create something, I will see here in my layers. The top toolbar, it's the main bar, it's the main tools of Figma. We have move tools. We can move select and move our objects around our project like this. We have the most important tool that we will see early. The frame tool. We create our wireframe. Shape tool. We can create some shapes like a rectangle, ellipse, polygon, etc. Drawing tools, it's the same, but we are going to create our shapes. And the text tool for create our text box. And the hand tool, we can move around the project. For example, like this. We don't move the object, we just move on the project. Okay, now let's go to the practice. Back to my file, Learn Figma. Okay. Here. Okay. Now we are going to create this home page. It's a receives up on page with our stream and our receipts. And the first things we have to do is create the frame. As you can see on the right, we have some templates we can use for our design, like phone templates, tablet templates, desktop templates. It's very nice because we can use one of these. We have just to click and we create. I select Google Pixel 2. Okay, now I want to remember you, as Marta said before, this is the first step of the last steps of UX UI design. So before to start to create your design in Figma, you have very clear how many interfaces and what the user experience will your app have, because it's very important before to start. Okay. So the second step is create our grid. For create our grid, we can use this tool, layout grid, obviously. So we have just to click a plus, and as you can see, we have here grid, or we can create columns, all rows of our templates, and we can decide how many columns, for example, 6, 8, 7, it's your choice. The type, my suggest is leaf stretch, because center or right, it's the columns starts from the left or right, it's very uncomfortable. I might suggest it to leave stretch. You can choose a margin. So the margin is the margin that your columns start. For example, 13 pixels, and you can see your columns are still stretch, but have 16 pixels of margin. And the gutter is the distance between the columns. Okay, I prefer to use grid because I think it's better for me. A little tips: use a multiple of 8 because in the design usually use multiple of 8 for distance between elements. Okay, now we have our layout grid, and we are, before to start to create our design, our fonts, our corporate, we are going to decide our layout. The layout is this one. Okay, so where and how I want to put my elements on my wireframe. For example, I want my search bar here, my title here, my subtitle here, my stream, my cards here. My cards have to be the sites, some of my button navigation, etc. You can create using just your rectangle tool. It's very you can create like this. It's both a step, but it's very simple. So I have already done because I don't have any time to create all of this. Okay, now let's go to the most important part of our design process in Figma, the fonts. Okay, we can download our fonts on Google Fonts. I guess you know this site. If you don't, it's very simple. You can search your fonts if you know, or the clients have already a font, or you can choose your font. You just select serif if you want a sans serif font, or sans serif, etc. For download it, it's very simple. Just to click and download the font family. And if you had installed the Figma tool for the font installer, you have just to close the Figma and reopen it, and the font, and you can find the font on your font libraries. Okay. Another important thing about the font, it's the hierarchy of the fonts. You have very clear how is what is your hierarchy. So where we can find this an example. You can see in materials. Materials is a very comfortable site because font, the type system. Okay, because you can see an example how the font its weight, the letter spacing, the size of headline 1, headline 2, headline 3, headline 4, headline 5, and etc. and how many styles have you to create on your projects. For create a font style, it's very simple. You have to select your text tool like this. You have, for example, we want to create H1 styles. Title. Okay, here we have the text tools. So here we can choose our font. There is a lot of fonts, and you can choose from here if you don't want to download from the Google Fonts. Here there is the font weight, so in pixels. The line height. Line height is the distance between sentences and the sentences bottom. So you can use percent like this, or pixels like this. It's the same. Okay. To create our font size, it's very simple. Okay, now we have our title. So we select, and we have to click here, style plus create style, and we rename H1. So it's our font style H1. Our title. Now you have created your font size, and you can see, as I said before, the specs on the material, but you can personalize your font size. The important is headline is bigger than body one, for example. This helps you in your design. But you use headline one as weight bold and size 100 pixels. There is not a rule. This one. Okay. Now we are going to create in our project our font styles. So this is our. We assign this font, this text to our font styles. So this is one H1 that we have created before, but as you can see, the size is wrong. So we can edit our font style. I want to do 92 pixels. Okay, and now we are going to create the other font styles. H2. It's very simple, and it's not a long process, but it's the most important process. Also for developers. Developers have guidelines here. So 3. You can use also other styles, for example, body 3, body 4. If you have an app, if you are creating an app that need this a lot of body text, for example. The very important thing is the hierarchy. Okay, the second step is the color palette. As Marta said before, the color palette has two important color, and this is primary color and the secondary color. But in our color palette in Figma, we are going to create more styles of color. The primary color and secondary color, but we have also active color is the primary, and active disabled, because imagine that you have a button that is disabled. We have to create in our color palette in Figma. For create a color palette, there is a fantastic tool that I use, is called Colors. Okay. Here we can generate a color palette, or we can explore it, take some inspiration. But if you want to create, it's very simple to use these sites. We can choose our main color. So we want our color palette, our primary color is red, and we have a lot of palettes. So we can choose, for example, this one, and we can delete for have our primary and secondary color. So we have generate our primary and secondary color. But if you want, if we like this color, but not this, we can block this one, and with the space bar, we can change the color and choose the color we prefer. And we can download or take the code and copy the code, and we can paste on our project in the color palette. You can see the color in this section, fill. So to create a color palette is very simple. It's like the font style. We have just to create, for example, an ellipse. We have to choose our colors. I choose this one, and we have to click style, create, and we have to call active is our primary color of our project, and create style. And the same thing for other style. Okay. The other step, the other important step is the icon set. There is 3 types of icon set: filled, outlined, and two-tone. The rules is choose one of these styles. You can download them. You don't have to be an illustrator or a designer to create your icon set by yourself, but you can download it on also on material, like this material icon. Material icon is perfect because you can download already in the right size, and it divides the icon in the icon style, so fill.line divided, so you can load what you want in SVG file. It's very simple. You can use also more creative sites like known project. Here there is a lot of types of icon you can find and download it. It's more difficult to choose on the sites the icon at the same styles. For example, if I want to download a search icon, like this, but I have to download also home icon. Look, now it's very difficult to find an icon similar or identically from the before icon. So my suggestion is in the first step use material. Material is the best. Okay, now we are going. Now we have our color style, our icon, and we have to create our button. To create the button, it's very simple, but we are going to touch the heart of the Figma. We are going to create, see how to create a component and what is it auto layout. I mean, okay, I will show you. We want to create our button, see more. Okay, now we are create our text box. Okay, button. We are going to use our text style button, and we want this button active. So okay, now we are going the button with auto layout. Auto layout is a property you can add to frames and components. It lets you create design that grow, fill, or shrink to fit, and reload when their contents change. I mean, so look, I will use the auto layout with this button. Add auto layout. You can also use the shortcut on your keyboard, Shift A. Okay. What happened? Now we have here our auto layout, and we have generated a padding around our text box. Look, it's different select. This is very comfortable because now you can choose our padding like this, and we can use where our alignment starts. So the button starts from our text box starts from the button. So we can stretch our button, and we can also add a fill in our button like this. or another color, like this, for example, and we can add a fill, a stroke, sorry, stroke. So with also radius corner, like 20 pixels. Okay. Why is it important to create auto layout? Because as you can see, we can stretch or do something about on it. And this is important for the design if you have also an app or desktop. Okay. Auto layout is using also for align more elements like this. For example, I have 3, 4 elements. I just select all them, add auto layout, and I can decide the direction of auto layout. It's vertical, horizontal, the distance between my elements, and I add also another padding. We have also have to choose the center. Okay. Now, the other most important thing of Figma is component. And I show you why create a component is important. To create a component, you have just to click here, create component. So we want this button is our main button. So this is, we create this component. Now we are going to design all the project. So we can use this button every time. Every time I duplicate the component, I don't duplicate the component, but I create an instance. Instance is like a son of the component. And it's very important because if you want to change something, for example, the border radius, we want to 20 pixel, to 20 pixel. We don't have to change the radius corner on all instance, every instance, but we have to change it just on our component. For if I change here my radius more, we'll change it on all instance. This is very important. Create a component, and it's also for organize your project, because you can find your components here on your assets. Look, I have here my components. Okay, so I have already created my buttons. And I create my component. Look, I have my buttons in my assets. So the last step is just compose our design with what we have created. So we have our layout, and we just have to drag our components here, and it's more simple. And quickly, and organize. Here, this is my title. So I choose my text style. H5, I prefer stars to H4. This is my H5. I take my button, I put here. So the last step is create our card. To create the card, it's very simple. We are going to use just what we have seen before. So we want a card like this. So how to create? We have just to drag an image here. But how can we transform this box in an image? It's very simple. You have to go here, section colors, and transform your solid color in an image. Or no, wait. We have to delete. And we have to take an image. Oh, wait, sorry. Where you can download a fantastic image, free copyright. There is a fantastic site. Maybe someone of you know it. It's called Splash. Here you can find a lot of free image of every topics. Like if I search carbonara, I will find carbonara. So it's fantastic. And for download, it's very simple. Download free. It's all free. So now we have to place our image. I have already downloaded them. Okay, now we are going to see. Okay. Now we have just to edit our the design of our image. For example, we want a stroke inside, so we can put stroke and inside the width of stroke, corner radius like this. And we can add some effects like drop shadow, inner shadow, layer blur. So let's see to create a drop shadow. The blur is the blur simply. So we can use 13 pixels, and the XY is the okay. Now we want to put a title on our card. We have just to select our text box and write Okay. Our title, pasta carbonara. Okay. We want our title like big title, so we can use the same text style, like page 5 or page 4 if you want. If you want the title of your sites. Okay. So, but the text is unreadable like this. We want a radius on our cards. It's very simple. We have just to duplicate our image, and we change this one, so we can use a linear gradient and edit it. So we want a black linear gradient, but we want to see the image before, so we can put 0% on our opacity of the second color. We can change our title color, and we can, but there is too much black here, so we can decide to edit the opacity of the fill. So we are going to put 5% or less by yourself. Now, as we see before, this is our component. So this is a component because if you change the card in your design, it's a problem if you don't have if you don't create a component, because you have to change a particular in every framework. Okay, and we can find in our assets. Okay, now I want to introduce you to the challenge. You have the basic to work on Figma, and I want to introduce you this challenge. So is the design the interface of a receipt detail within a receipt app, taking into account what was ready during the event UX UI to design up a Figma. Okay, what is the receipt detail? Is this one. I have created these files for you that Simone will share to you on your Telegram group. And what is the challenge? Is a design, for example, this frame. So the detail of the receipt of our receipts home page. You can don't need to create a spaghetti carbonara. You can use your creativity or another another receipt. So the design interface for tips must have a receipt name, image, don't use illustration. If I have time, I will show you how to download and edit illustration. Ingredients, name and quantity ingredients, and instruction of receipts. You can create teams of 2 or 3 people, max 3 people. And the prices for each member of the team is Udemy for Flutter course and gadget tutored like bottle, planner book, notebook, stickers, etc. And the design of the winner team will be developed on this second event, developing in the upper Flutter with David and Lorenzo. For the second team, there is a gadget book, and also for the third team. The deadline is Sunday, but if you give us your project before Sunday, you have a bonus. Okay, the winner obviously will be announced Monday. And you have to share a Google Drive folder with this email. And the folder name must be the name and surname, the member 1, the member 2, or 3, depends, and the team name. And you have to share the screenshot of your app and a file SVG. To download a file SVG on Figma is very simple. Now I will show you how to export, for example, also this file. I have to select export. It's the last tool on the right bar. Export, and you have to select SVG. Export. Okay. That's enough.
All right. That was it, right, Andrea?
Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you and Marta. All this content was incredibly helpful. I bet that everyone that's into design and developers who are like trying to understand how things work behind the scenes and how things are sort of like thought out before everything is implemented, you know, will find this event super useful. Personally, I think this is super cool because as many people in our community, we are developers, but we also have people from other majors and masters. So like seeing how this stuff is put together, not only is it helpful, it's also very, very interesting. And it's not as simple as it looks like once you see everything put together. So thank you so much. This was a great presentation on practical stuff because we don't get to see how things are done, you know, in college classes because they're usually more theoretical. And here we saw like a real example on how things are actually designed. So thank you so much on that. I would just like to clarify one more thing about the contest. As Andrea mentioned, from now until Sunday at noon, everyone has time to submit their files, as Andrea mentioned, and the core team and Andrea and Marta will be reviewing the submissions. So much in the same fashion as we did during the machine learning event, we'll review everything and we'll announce the winners on Monday's event. So everyone that has participated during either this event or has presented something or submitted something for the project contest, or simply wants to see how it's implemented, should definitely join us on Monday, What's the Stuff Live, because super fun. And yeah, we have our methods to review things, but it should be like pretty straightforward for us, and hopefully the quality will be as great as last time. We expect great things from our students. Last time we were super surprised about the quality of some projects. So given how good this workshop was, we can expect nothing but super good stuff. I mean, these are PoliMi students, so this is like top of the world, I guess. So with all that being said, we had one question during the event that I guess many of us relate to it. I'll just bring it here. Davide wanted to know how this stuff that we saw today can be actually used for developers. And the question was, so you guys, are they going to use those things we are defining now, for instance, for CSS of a web page? So I guess it's about like the layouts, the colors. How do we transition from design into putting this into code?
Yes, in Figma we have the right panel, and yes, if you can show. In the right panel we have the inspect, and we can see the CSS code. So we can see the code behind the layout, the colors, for example.
Yes, I will show you now. For example, for the colors that Marta mentioned, we have this side.
In the right part,
we will see better in the next lesson with Davide and Lorenzo this part, because they will show you how to take these properties from Figma, about colors, about font style, and implement in your CSS style or web application.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty useful, because sometimes it's like magic. Everything is on a design, and how do I get it on my code? But yeah, as Andrea just mentioned, all this stuff will be a lot more, clear once we start implementing things in the next event, which nobody should miss if you're interested in this stuff, because it will really connect the dots from design into implementation, and it should be a really fun event. Now, there's another question. How can a person without a design background properly choose color patterns, font sizes, or other graphical elements in order to have a coherent and user-friendly application? So any suggestions, any advice?
Yes, we make a list of links for inspirations, so you can see.
Yes, it's the same file. I will show you. Okay. I will share with you the link of this file. There is every step that I mentioned, and under the project, under the wireframe, there is a link, a button.
Nice.
Where there is, for example, for the layout sketch, there is the site where you can take inspiration for your design, like your design inspiration, Behance, the Dribble, or for example, for font, like UI design elements, how to create this font style or material, or more technical link. For example, the components and the auto layout is more important, I create a link for some tutorial.
Nice.
To YouTube, so you can see, you can try. I know that it's very difficult understand in few minutes this why is important this tool.
Right.
You can see.
That's awesome stuff. I will myself use those resources and use them on like future projects or whatnot. But about that, we'll be sharing all this information on the Telegram group. I know that we've been sharing the link on the chat. So if you're interested either on the series of events or maybe like future events and all the information that we share with PoliMi students, you should definitely join, because we're a growing community. We are also trying to help each other here. I'm a student, all the core team members are students. Right now we're collaborating with Tutored, so we bring in professionals that help us, like growing. And so the more we are, the better. So I think that should be it from us, I guess, unless you want to add anything else.
No, just thank you. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you. See you. Hope you will do a challenge, because Figma and the other design tools, but I think other tools, you can learn by doing.
Right.
Learn by doing.
Sure.
So you can try, and there isn't a rules, specific rules. There is top rules that mentioned Marta, but in the technical, we can every people have their method.
Right. I guess that applies perfectly to what everyone is looking for here. More practical experience, trying to get their hands dirty, not just like all the theory that we get in class. It's good to know and stuff, but like really, for example, submitting something for this contest will definitely help students get a better understanding on how things work. So I guess this is it. It was a fantastic event. First time we collaborated with Tutored. We can't wait to have the second event on Monday. I'm sure it'll be as good as this one. And as I mentioned, if anybody has any questions or wants to interact with us in any way, feel free to reach out to us on Telegram, on our social media profiles. We also share this document with the emails of Andrea and Marta. So if you have any technical questions, feel free to do that. And it's been a pleasure once again. We are amazed by all the engagement that we're getting from students. And obviously, thank you so much to Tutored, who has put together all this content.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, guys.